What's going on, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Nerdwide podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Haynes, with my good friend and co-host, Mr. Chris Rivers. Now, Chris, it is good to see you. How have you been? How's the week been? How was your July 4th?
July 4th was nice and uneventful. Um,
Nice.
yeah,
You had a
work.
four-day, free, 4-day work-free weekend.
Yeah, yeah, that was nice. 3-day work week was a little hectic just because we
Mm,
had some people out. And now they told us Friday this whole next week is overtime.
of course it is.
So
Why wouldn't it be?
it's just getting old real quick,
Yeah.
man. Uh, but yeah, um, didn't get to watch as much as I wanted to this week. I had plans to watch some other stuff, but I
Mm.
just got the stuff watched for the show. How's your week?
It was pretty busy. Monday felt like because I still worked on it, and it felt like a normal Monday. And then we had Tuesday off, which was nice to spend time with the family, some at the pool, and watch fireworks out the front yard. And then Wednesday felt like a Monday, and I worked this weekend, so yesterday and today, and I'm just kind of overworking, and I still have 5 more days ahead of me. So you know,
Yeah, I'm ready to retire.
yeah,
Uh,
that'd be nice, huh?
Hey, I'm buying a Powerball ticket Monday though.
We have to. It's one of those things I tell Jamie all the time. I would love to win the lottery and what I would do with all the money. And I'm constantly reminded, to win it, you have to play it. And
Yeah,
I don't play it. So I need to
I
start
don't
talking about it, be about it.
I don't usually buy tickets unless it gets like half a million or
Hmm.
half a billion or more,
Right.
and then it's like, all right, that I'll pick up a ticket
Yeah.
for that.
I think a lot of people do that. We usually do it as an office. We go in and get like, 5 tickets or something like that. And just,
Hmm.
if we win, we split it kind of thing. But I don't want to split it, even though just a portion of that is more than I'll ever see in my lifetime. So, but
Well,
anyways,
well, if you all win it, you just have to go Lex Luthor on everybody else
can find ways
and be like,
to steal their
yeah,
shares. Yeah, I think I could do it too. Anyways, everyone, welcome back to the Nerdwide podcast. This is episode 120 of the show. Quick housekeeping before we jump into all of our fun reviews and recaps, including the new My Adventures with Superman episodes 1 and 2. Don't forget to subscribe to either our YouTube or podcasting service of your choice. If you enjoy the show, make sure you leave us a thumbs up on YouTube or give us a good rating for whatever podcasting app you do use. If you don't enjoy the show, or if you don't enjoy what you see or hear, make sure you leave us a thumbs up or leave us a comment down below. You can tell it's been a week. Leave us a comment down below. Let us know how we can improve the show. Can't improve it if we don't know if it's broken or what is wrong. If you want to go the extra mile, you can always go to patreon.com/nerdwide. 3 different tiers for 3 different monetary monthly subscription values. Each one having fun little goodies and things there. Get the episodes early, recommend us what books, TV shows, movies, and things like that you want to watch. And that is the way to do it. Other than that, Chris, have you been watching anything different? I know you said earlier that you probably hadn't gotten into anything besides our shows.
yeah. No, I haven't really done much in the way of TV or film. I did, by the way, just completely unrelated to TV. I did get the bookend that I'm going to be reviewing.
Awesome.
So I'll be. I've already started it. I've already read the preface. So
Awesome. It's I tried to get into the first one. Couldn't. It's not really some. I think I'm getting like 2 or 3 chapters. I'm just like it's a little too much for me. I need to sit down and try again at some
mhm.
point. But I'm just like my headspace probably wasn't where it was supposed to be. Going 1,000 miles per hour right now. I mean, hell, I don't even listen. I don't play Destiny 2 anymore either because I got so
What?
many. I know. It's been 7 weeks. No, that's wrong. It's been 5 weeks since I played Destiny 2 last.
Are
Just
you okay? Are you
well,
going
there's
through
just there's
withdrawals
just a
or
lot of
is
other
it?
games out right now, and I'm kind of tired of the same Destiny format over and over and over again. So I'm just kind of, which apparently I'm not the only one going through this because
Yeah.
their player base is taking a dip, which is normal with Diablo out and Final Fantasy 16, which has got me in a death grip and everything else. I generally just don't have a lot of time anymore, anyways, which I guess is a part of growing up, quote unquote, and working in a adult life. But I think it's
That's why I
overrated.
said you got to retire. That way you
Right.
have more.
shoot, buy timeshares and a bunch of different things and just get passive income. I wish. I haven't watched much of anything either. Been, slowly catching up on Big Brother Australia from 2021. Yeah. And then, because Big Brother USA comes out less than a month now, August 5th. And can't wait to get back to those live feeds. Trust me.
Lord.
And then Bachelorette. Nothing else crazy, anything new this week. But something we have been watching and are going to do full on spoilers for is Secret Invasions Episode 3, titled Betrayed, again directed by Ali Salem. We're going back to the reviewgeek.com by this one by Arnav Srivastava for the recap. Let's see. In a flashback to 1998 New York City, we see Fury meet Priscilla. She's actually Vara, who was stationed with Talos when the refugee Skrulls escaped their colony. In the present day, even though Priscilla is excited to see Fury back, she's upset that he stayed away for too long. During the finger snapping, Fury was also erased. Priscilla was made a widow, and then during the blip when Fury came back, she had to undo all her heartbreak and return to normalcy. And none of this has been easy for her, and Fury's mysterious ways have only made it harder. There are still questions that marks about what side Priscilla is on. Meanwhile, Gravik questions Gaia about the police learning the location of their safe house. Gravik previously got Brogan executed for his apparent betrayal, but there is a part of him who feels Gaia might be the mole. Gravik travels with Gaia to London, where the former meets Talos at the National Portrait Gallery. In the car, Gravik mentions in a conversation on the phone that the UN plane carrying the delegation will arrive at Neptune's coordinates in the night. When he is gone, Gaia messages someone this information, indicating she is the mole, but the identity of the person on the other end is still unknown. Talos warns Gravik against continuing his plan to erase humanity and take Earth for the Skrulls. When Gravik incites Talos by saying he should have sent Gaia to him in a body bag, we suddenly see everyone around the table get up and take Gravik's shape. Awesome scene. I know we saw it in the trailer, but it's still very, very, very cool and very well done. They're all Skrulls and Gravik's loyal followers.
I don't understand. So the person that did the recap, right? They mentioned this. That we don't know who's on the other end of the phone. I assume she's texting Talos.
Right. Or Fury or somebody. But we see her later on. I don't know. It's not on here. But Talos, as he walks out of the building, gets bumped into somebody, and that's where he picks up the burner phone. So I don't know if she was messing. Like, if there's a third group of Skrulls out there that are loyal to Gaia and not Talos or Gravik, maybe. Maria Hill, maybe. I mean, who knows what's really going on with this show?
Yeah, is she really dead, or
is that Skrull, or is she really even dead? Period. Or does she go to Tahiti like Agent Coulson did? And we'll never know. Well, I'm sure we'll at the end of the season. Let's see. They're all Skrulls. Talos tells them that humans are the most formidable when they're threatened. He also promises Gravik that he will inform all the nations who their common foe is. Talos wants humans to know that the difference between those Skrulls and that are overcome by Gravik's sickness and those that aren't. Fury meets Talos in London, and this is probably my favorite thing about this show. And they're starting to... I don't know, I'm not so very high on this one right now as I am on the other MCU shows. Which is weird because this should be all up my alley of being a spy thriller and MCU project, and having all this who are they, are they really the real kind of thing. The first two episodes didn't really get me there, and this one, towards the end, I was like, oh, okay, I'm really feeling this show. And I think it was Fury and Talos just, they're bickering and constantly going back and forth. Yeah. And the one scene in the car talking about the past 30 years was so funny. And it was just... that was the MCU charm that I don't think I had the first two episodes.
Right.
They do not exchange apologies for what they said to each other the last time they met. Fury warns Talos that the Skrulls have someone valuable in the U.S. government, but Talos wants Fury to ask for his help by embarrassing him. Understanding the gravity of the situation, Fury does so. We learn that Neptune is a submarine which has been infiltrated by the Skrulls. It'll be used to launch a strike at the UN delegation. Fury calls Sonya and informs her of this plan. Sonya is herself dealing with a mole within her ranks and cannot help. She instead tells Fury that the name and address of the captain manning the sub, Robert Fairbanks. During their commute, Fury and Talos fight about their existing relationship for 30 years. Both of them claim to be helping the other and making themselves sound indispensable. Talos alludes to the invisible spy network of himself and 19 other Skrulls who have always gave the upper hand to Fury. They arrive at the house, but their plan of tiptoeing around is blown instantly. I enjoyed the conversation because, Fury has, when we saw him in Captain Marvel, which, we've recapped and talked about, so we've seen recently, we saw him as essentially just a random field agent. And Talos is like, no. The reason you are in the position you are is because of me and my other Skrulls. And I'm like, oh, that makes so much more sense. And I mean, it kind of fleshes the world out a little bit more. Let's see. They arrive at the house. Fury and Talos shoot their way in. It turns out that Fairbanks has already relayed the message. The officers in the sum are stumped at their orders. When they ask him to negate the order, Fairbanks ridicules Talos and calls him the shell of the general he once was. He stalls, giving the codes that would stop the strike. In the sub, all preparations are made to strike. Talos kills Fairbanks and calls Gaia for the termination password. At the Skrull base, alerts are raised of a comm breach. Gaia peruses through the real Fairbanks memory at the base and gets the codes. The launch is successfully averted, and Talos asks Gaia to run. Her cover has officially been blown. As she is trying to escape, Gravik stops her. He points a gun at her and says, quote, finding the traitor was more important than the actual strike. He asks her to turn around, but Gaia wants him to shoot her from the front. Gravik does not hesitate and pulls the trigger and shoots her. Priscilla leaves the house and goes to the bank. She opens a vault and finds a gun inside. She is asked to meet Gravik at St. James Church in an hour's time, which is an indication that she is working for him. So, Gaia obviously not dead. Something's up with that. I don't know if she was faking or what's really going on there. And this whole Priscilla thing, I still have just as many questions as I did at the end of episode 2. So,
what if she's really the one working against the rebels, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she kind of took up that mantle when Fury was dusted, and she just hadn't told him yet.
Yeah, that would make sense. And she's really maybe that's who Gaia was texting as well, was Priscilla, and she's kind of orchestrating everything. That would make sense because he got dusted and she was left alone to continue everything.
It would also make sense too because he got, what was it, a call or a message while she and Fury were talking, and he was like,
"Yep."
He was like, "What? Who's that?" or something. She said, "Oh, it's not important."
Mm-hmm.
And she left her phone laying face down.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, it's a good theory, Chris. I'm right there with you. But like I said earlier, this episode kind of really got me back into this show. And the whole sneaking in, 2 old men sneaking into this house, people being Skrulls. I mean, Fury's just straight killing people. I was like, oh, God, these guys are... he's just killing everybody. And turned out to be Skrulls, which is, in and of itself, is a different thing. But I really enjoy it. And I'm excited to see where we go from here because I feel like these shows always kind of start off a little slow and then they really peak. And I want to see if it peaks and if it can hold that peak to the finale.
Right.
So,
I think it's going to be good, though.
Yes.
I still think we're going to get something because they mentioned again in this episode. They made a mention of possibly needing someone to come together and defend Earth.
Well, there's something else that you just reminded me because, they didn't even put this in the review. They were talking about the Super Skrulls with the Council earlier. And that's why they become something better and things like that to fight the heroes and things like that. And it becomes something better like Super Skrulls. And then we see when Gravik gets stabbed to the hand, he pulls his hand out with that butter knife. And it melded just like the movie we watched this week, the Extremist thing. I was like, he's already a Super Skrull. And they're just giving us little hints to it. So he's definitely got the Extremist thing in there. We saw at the last episode all the little computer Easter eggs and stuff like that. So
yeah.
I wonder if we see Secret Invasion Easter eggs for... I wonder if there's more that we didn't catch on to.
I think... I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm probably going to be wrong. I think we get Quake.
Oh, dude. Have you seen her mentioning that she has no idea about this show? She has been angrily arguing. She said, I have not done anything with the MCU since the show quit or since the show was done. And she said, I don't even know what's going on at period at all. And she goes, I don't pay attention to any of that. So either she's acting, which we've seen before with the other Spider-Man actors, or she's in this. But she says, I've had nothing to do with it. She goes, and I continually have nothing to do with it. No one's talked to me about it. Nobody wants to do anything with me about it. I'm like, okay. Well, we'll see, Chloe Bennett.
Yeah. That sounds like one of those denials that's if you look at my words, they say one thing, but if you look at the reason I'm even mentioning this, because if you're not involved, why talk about it?
Well, people are like, when she's doing another show, I think, right now, and people are constantly asking her. I guess
we know it's not Powerpuff Girls, right?
No, it ain't that anymore. Easter eggs here. When Fury meets up with a Skrull operative in 1998, who later becomes his wife, she gives him an envelope featuring intelligence on Dreykov's men. Dreykov gets his first mention in the MCU in the Avengers when Loki calls Natasha Romanoff Dreykov's daughter, and fans that see him in live action in the Black Widow movie. So he's the leader of the Red Room and creates the Widows for decades. So that's pretty cool. Gravik's healing hand I mentioned. It looks like the Extremis. Fury Skrulls Network we talked about. No One Calls Me Nick. We got that nice little callback to Captain Marvel in this one as well. The voice on the phone. Let's see. Oh, it says when Nick Fury's wife attempts to get in contact with Gravik, she uses a phone she's kept hidden to do so. The voice on the other end of the line isn't Gravik. Instead, it sounds a lot like Don Cheadle, who plays James Rhodes, indicating all those fan theories about the character being a Skrull are likely correct.
By the way, were you doing what I was doing every time Fury is around food? I'm looking to see if
he's cutting it. Yes, every single time.
I'm like, is he gonna do it? Is he gonna?
Right. But a fan, I didn't know it was a fan theory that Don Cheadle, that James Rhodes is a Skrull.
I mean, I've not heard it, but
I wouldn't put it past people. Yeah, I'm sure there's something that mentions it. All right, to our brand new show, My Adventures with Superman. We're going to talk about episode 1 and 2. I don't have the most extensive recaps for these. I'm just going to read off the Wikipedia because it covers everything. So we're going to wikipedia.org for this one, for these recaps for episode 1 and 2. I mean, they're 23-minute episodes, so they're not really much to talk about anyways. Titled Adventures of a Normal Man, Part 1 and Part 2. The first part was directed by Jen Bennett. The second one by Diana Hugh. All right, Part 1. In Smallville, Kansas, a young Clark Kent discovers he has superpowers after awakening them to save a woman from a car accident. Very cool that the way that they showed this. Like, he's trying to get a kite out of the tree. And he's jumping up. You think he's going to jump up and grab it. The little Superman pose. Doesn't do it. Car spins out across the street, and he shows his feet, and his eyes go blue for a second, and he zips right there to it. It's very cool. Years later,
it took a suppressor.
Yeah, it was really cool. And it was towards the end of the episode we get more of it as well. Let's see. Years later, Clark and his alien conspiracy theorist roommate Jimmy Olsen go for their first day as interns at the Daily Planet, where they get convinced by a senior intern, Lois Lane, to look into the theft of a military-grade technology stockpile. Finding the thieves loading military robots at the Metropolis docks, they send a robot after the interns. After being knocked out of view by the robot, Clark disguises himself and uses his powers to destroy one of the robots, only for the thieves' leader to activate all of their remaining ones. With Clark getting their attention, Lois successfully deactivates the robots while Clark keeps her safe and keeps his identity secret. During the fight, he mysteriously develops new powers. Despite their work, Lois is unable to get her boss, Perry White, to publish a story or the blurry photos they took without real proof of the metahuman who Lois has dubbed Superman. The fight scene was really cool. We didn't really see what powers awoke during this one. But I like how when something new awakens, his eyes go fully blue, like that Kryptonian blue. It was really, really cool to see. Those robots are menacing and horrifying, and we still really don't know who is sending them in. Actually, yes, we do. It says in the next episode, which I didn't realize that's who his name was. So, Part 2. Obsessed with finding out more about Superman, Lois follows up on the thieves for a lead while Clark returns to his childhood home, faking an illness. let's see. He activates a hologram speaking an alien language, sees mysterious visions of an alien planet apparently involve a space war being destroyed, and finds himself in new alien clothing, which his mom, Martha Kent, adds a belt and a pair of shorts to. The thieves' leader, Leslie Willis, attacks a team of secret agents from the organization she stole technology from and arranges a meeting with them. Meeting with their leader, Slade Wilson. Did they ever mention his name? And I just completely skip over it?
I don't think they mentioned his name.
Well, Slade Wilson is the main guy, who, we all know who that is. Mm-hmm. She threatens to detonate explosives, which she has lined Metropolis' sewers with, unless they leave her alone. Lois and Jimmy inadvertently disrupt this meeting, turning into a scramble for the detonator, while Willis reveals she is wearing a super suit that grants electrokinesis. Superman arrives and removes her suit's power crystal before destroying it after it gives him more visions of the space war. The clear photos Jimmy took of the fight convinced Perry to publish, only for the group to learn Perry gave the byline instead to staff reporters uninvolved in the incident, which of course one was Cat Grant, which is pretty cool.
Yes.
Superman checks on Lois and Jimmy while Willis is taken prisoner by Wilson, who begins torturing her for information about the Flying Man. So, I think the most impressive thing to me that I've seen someone mention on Twitter this week as well was that after the big city fight, we see Superman clean everything up, which is very Clark Kent. And I thought that was a very, very, very cool and nice touch. Of course, Clark and Superman is played by Jack Quaid. And I thought he did a great job. I was curious and asked you earlier as well, before I said, should we keep watching this show? Which of course we are. But there was at times that felt a little aimed at a different audience than I felt like it was aimed for, especially being premiering and airing on Adult Swim. And we didn't really get any reason of why it would be on Adult Swim, other than just saying it's going to be.
I think you're right. We were talking before the show, and it definitely seems like it's aimed at kids.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't one of the new projects by James Gunn, though.
No, I think this was already in the works, but he likes the show and is very on board with it. So,
but I mean, I would be too, because it's a good intro for like little kids that haven't become aware of the character yet.
Right. But it's just weird that it's on Adult Swim, which is
because it doesn't have that humor.
Mm-mm. Maybe it's like the violence of it a little bit. I mean, there were some scenes, maybe,
but as a kid that grew up on the 80s cartoons, there was plenty of violence in those, and we watched them. So
without any issues, might I add.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Hey, was not Viola Davis, but what's her name in the window of Suicide Squad? Oh, I can't remember her name right now. The head lady of Suicide Squad. Waller. Was that her?
I don't know.
Because they kind of made it look like her, and I don't see Amanda Waller listed on the cast here. So
probably not.
Who knows? But I enjoy the show. I think the action scenes and like the animations are really, really well done. It was a little weird at first that Jimmy Olsen and Clark Kent are sleeping in bunk beds. And I was like, okay, we're starting them off in college, being college friends or something like that. No, it's not a college dorm. It's just their apartment. I was like, okay.
I did find it funny, because apparently it does and doesn't make sense that Clark's still having trouble with things like his strength.
Mm-hmm.
Because he goes to turn off the alarm clock and he breaks it.
And Jimmy goes, "Oh, you broke through another clock again."
He said, "How come our alarm clocks keep exploding?"
Right. I was like, you think that sync busted and all that stuff. So he doesn't have his laser vision yet. So we're still getting a Superman that's not Superman 100% yet. And I think it's cool each episode, we're kind of getting new powers and introductions to things. So right now it seems like he does flying and strength. That's about it.
Right.
So, but I'm excited. The next episode is titled "My Interview with Superman." So
Yeah, because that's something that they tease. They could get their own they could get their own bylines if they could get an interview with
hmm
Superman. And so,
which clearly Lois does.
right.
So
She ends up having his babies.
he ends up having his babies, and then we go into a completely different show in a different universe. All right, Chris, heroes and douche canoe of the week. We'll start from the bottom. My Adventures with Superman. Heroes, obviously, Superman from the first part one, where he saved
I,
everybody.
and I think part one, you could say the douche canoe was Lois.
Oh
'Cause she lied to
yes,
him.
completely agree. Just a complete lied to him, and he got mad too about that, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
You also think the hero Clark Kent for bringing in 10 boxes of donuts to the office. The donuts are
Well,
always appreciated.
but they're for him.
Oh
Remember
well,
the lady,
yes,
she says, "These are for you."
which was very weird. Like that whole interaction with the two owners and Clark. So
But I guess Superman would have to eat a lot of carbs, right?
like
Because
the Flash.
yeah,
So it's I thought it was pretty cool. A nice little backstory kind of being fleshed out.
yeah.
Um, Secret Invasion hero and douche canoes.
I think you could say Gaia for a hero,
Yep.
uh, even
Mm.
though even though it wasn't what she thought it was.
Right.
It was like a test to draw the mole out.
Mm-hmm. Still
But
her
she
being
didn't.
heroic though, because that would have started World War III.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that being our hero. We're gonna get Superman in My Adventures with Superman for a long time, so I'm
yeah.
okay with Guy. Because is she dead? We don't know.
Okay.
Uh, do you have a douche canoe for Secret Invasion?
Um, man, I
Talos and Nick Fury. Well, Nick Fury threatening a child with a gun right up in his jaw. Joshua.
yeah, yeah, but I mean,
It's spying. It's espionage. I'm okay with
he
doing Lois though. So
he had his reasons.
yeah,
Yeah, because I think Gravis is that's just who he is.
yeah.
So you can't really say it's being douche canoey when
Mm-hmm.
he's just evil.
Right.
Um, um, yeah, I think Lois.
That'd be a fun one. How
Yeah.
oftentimes do you get Lois as a douche canoe?
It's always so interesting to see how different writers handle the lying thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously Clark's going to lie to Lois because he can't tell her that
Right.
he's this. So what makes his lie
Mm-hmm.
really any
Any
different?
different? It blows my mind. All right, releases this week. The new season of Too Hot to Handle comes out on Netflix Friday, July 14th. I know Chris cannot wait to dive in.
Never heard of it.
I'll be watching because it's in the Netflix's reality sphere. I just can't get enough of it.
I can. I definitely can. Does that mean that we're on to movies?
It does. That's exactly what that means.
Have you watched anything else?
Mm, no, nothing else this week.
No, I haven't either.
Mm.
Just the Avengers and Iron Man 3, which is what we're going to talk about. So let's get into it. I'm just going to run through the plots on Wikipedia. It kind of always feels weird to do this because I feel like most people have seen these movies, so we
Right.
know but we want to be thorough. It's always good to be thorough.
Sorry,
All
about
right.
getting everything back in.
2012 with the Avengers. By the way, I'm going to say up front, I scored this 4.5 on Letterboxd
I evidently give it 4.
out of 5.
Okay.
Not 4.5 out of 10.
4 to 10. Could you imagine? Oh, Chris, you really didn't like that movie, huh?
So here's the plot. The Asgardian Loki encounters the leader of an extraterrestrial race known as the Chitauri. In exchange for retrieving the Tesseract, a powerful energy source of unknown potential, the other promises Loki an army with which he can subjugate Earth. Nick Fury, director of the espionage agency SHIELD, arrives at a remote research facility where physicist Dr. Eric Selvig is leading a team experimenting on the Tesseract. Tesseract suddenly activates and opens a wormhole, allowing Loki to reach Earth. Loki steals the Tesseract and uses his scepter to enslave Selvig and other agents, including Clint Barton, to
Mm-hmm.
aid him. Um, in response, Fury reactivates the Avengers initiative. Agent Natasha Romanoff heads to Kolkata to recruit Dr. Bruce Banner to trace the Tesseract through its gamma radiation emissions. Fury approaches Steve Rogers to retrieve the Tesseract, and Agent Phil Coulson visits Tony Stark to have him check Selvig's research. Loki's in Stuttgart, where Barton steals the iridium needed to stabilize the Tesseract's power, leading to a confrontation with Rogers, Stark, and Romanoff that ends with Loki's surrender. While Loki gets escorted to S.H.I.E.L.D., his adopted brother Thor arrives and frees him, hoping to convince him to abandon his plan and return to Asgard. Stark and Rogers intervene, and Loki is taken to S.H.I.E.L.D.'s flying aircraft carrier, the Helicarrier, where he's imprisoned. The Avengers become divided over how to approach Loki and the revelation that S.H.I.E.L.D. plans to harness the Tesseract to develop powerful weapons as a deterrent against hostile extraterrestrials. As they argue, Loki's agents attack the helicarrier, and the stress causes Banner to transform into the Hulk. Stark and Rogers work to restart the damaged engine, and Thor attempts to stop the Hulk's rampage. Not exactly.
Right.
I don't know why they put that in there. That's
Because he didn't attempt to stop the rampage, but whatever.
no, and Banner makes a point of saying he's always angry.
Mm-hmm.
He's just learned to control when he lets the monster out.
Which is our first Mark Ruffalo, though. This is our first movie
Yes,
with Mark Ruffalo.
yes, it is. Romanoff knocks Barton unconscious, breaking Loki's mind control. Loki escapes after killing Coulson, and Fury uses Coulson's death to motivate the Avengers into working as a team. Loki uses the Tesseract and a wormhole generator Selvig built to open a wormhole above Stark Tower to the Chitauri fleet in space, launching his invasion. Rogers, Stark, Romanoff, Barton, Thor, and the Hulk rally in defense of New York City, and together the Avengers battle the Chitauri. The Hulk beats Loki into submission. Boy, does he ever. Romanoff makes her way to the generator where Selvig, freed from Loki's mind control, reveals Loki's scepter can shut down the generator. Fury's superiors from the World Security Council, which include Powers Booth, attempt to end the invasion by launching a nuclear missile at Midtown Manhattan. Stark intercepts the missile and takes it through the wormhole toward the Chitauri fleet. The missile detonates, destroying the Chitauri mothership and disabling their forces on Earth. Stark's suit loses power, and he goes into freefall, but the Hulk saves him while Romanoff uses Loki's scepter to close the wormhole. In the aftermath, Thor returns with Loki and the Tesseract to Asgard, where Loki will face their justice. In a mid-credits scene, the other confers with his master about the failed attack on Earth, his master, of course, being Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
So,
A lot of good, favorite MCU moments are in this film.
yeah.
I think it's a lot of my favorite Iron Man moments, just because he has been Iron Man, I think, the longest out of all these heroes, and is very much Tony Stark throughout the whole thing. A lot of good Easter eggs and cameos, which we'll talk about. But one that came up that's still one of my favorites is in the lab scene when Stark and Banner are bickering and talking about stuff like that, and Tony Stark offers Banner blueberries. That was really Robert Downey Jr. And I love that story because he apparently would hide snacks everywhere for especially these long days of filming. And that was an improv scene when he said blueberries. And that's why you see Mark Ruffalo kind of make a funny face and then say no,
Yeah.
but because he really offered him blueberries. It's just something dumb and fun that I love.
Yeah, I love that stuff. Of course, his big moment is taking the nuclear bomb up into space.
Mm-hmm.
I still wonder if, I guess his suit was low on power, because I always wondered why he flew so far out
Right.
instead of just getting to the wormhole and throwing it out there.
Right. I took it as he went through the wormhole, and to make sure it went through it, he went through as well. And how gravity and things works, things in motion stay in motion unless stopped. I think that's what happened, and then the explosion blew him back through. Is kind of how I take it. But there was always a lot of speculation of after that movie, because I can remember this. People thought that, oh, is that our Tony Stark that came through? Like, did he time travel and stuff like that? Which obviously he didn't. Well, I don't say obviously, but there's no proof that he did or anything. So that was kind of cool. All right, so I've got a lot of Easter eggs here. Of course, the Avengers is a huge, huge movie. The first one being Thanos. Obviously, we know about that one. So the opening moments of the Avengers takes place inside the Joint Dark Energy Mission Facility Nevada, a facility established by S.H.I.E.L.D. and NASA to study the Tesseract as a part of the MCU's Project Pegasus. We saw Project Pegasus become important in Captain Marvel, we talked about that earlier, who've been experimenting with the Tesseract. So, let's see, blah, blah, blah. I see Coulson was dating a cellist who appears at Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Pepper Potts and Tony Stark both mentioned Agent Coulson's love life during the Avengers, with it being revealed that he has been dating a cellist from Portland. Amy Acker would appear as Audrey Nathan in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 1, Episode 19. The only light in the darkness, Phil Coulson's cellist, who has been recovering from his apparent death during the Avengers while being stalked by Marcus Daniels, an enhanced escaped convict. So, that's kind of cool. Let's see. Let's see. After his debut in 2011's Thor, Loki was put front and center as the primary antagonist of the Avengers, bringing his ambition to rule over Earth into focus. His reasoning that freedom is life's greatest lie informed all of his actions throughout the Avengers, but this will be brought back into the spotlight in a very different way during Phase 4. Loki, the show, would reveal that he who remains a variant of Kang the Conqueror had actually been pulling the strings and manipulating the sacred timeline. So the concept of free will actually does appear to be an elusive, a sobering reality for the god of mischief. Some of these are kind of dumb. Let's see. Hydra's Gideon Malik is on the World Security Council. Let's see. Bruce Banner joked about swallowing the Tesseract, which of course did happen in Captain Marvel. A lot of people we know try to recreate the super soldier serum. We see Odin's ravens appear in a scene between Thor and Loki. Let's see, where were they at? When Thor and Loki first meet in the Avengers, with Thor freeing his brother from the captivity of Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, the ravens can be seen overlooking their discussion where they're interrupted, so it can be assumed that Odin, even being in Asgard, is still watching over his sons. I didn't notice that. I've never known that. Now I have to go back and rewatch the whole movie just for that one moment. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything actually decent. I see Captain America and Thor repeat their combination in Age of Ultron with the hammer and shield. Give me 1 second. Go ahead.
Yeah. One of my favorite scenes to this, one of my absolute favorite scenes in this movie has always been that one near the beginning with Natasha, where the first time you see it, you think that she's at the mercy of these guys, and then when she gets the phone call from Coulson, she's like, "They're giving me everything. I'm right in the middle of this."
Right.
And it's like at any time that she wanted to, she could have gotten out of there. These guys were in the palm of her hand the whole time, and the way she just tears through them. When she hears Clint's gonna need help, it's fantastic.
Lou Ferrigno cameos as the voice of the Hulk, so that's pretty cool. A lot of these are kind of dumb, like the Hulk and Thor battle in the helicarrier, which teases their battle in Ragnarok. I'm like, not everything is a tease.
Right. We had to wait quite a while in this one for the Stan Lee cameo.
Mm-hmm.
It comes close to the end of the film, and
let's see. Oh, I didn't know that. After his brief appearance, which will happen here in a minute. After his brief appearance as Officer Saunders, a New York City police officer in the Avengers who interacts with Captain America, Einberg Jokic was later recast for a role in Agent Carter. Let's see. he was cast as Daniel Sousa, Carter's love interest and future husband. So
Hmm. I didn't connect those two.
mm-mm.
I've seen Agent Carter. I liked it. I don't know why they canceled it.
It's I don't know why I don't know. I don't know why Agents of Shield was not put into the show either. This mentions a lot of different things here. Hawkeye's rooftop jump we see was in the Hawkeye show.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What's her name was there?
I don't really see that as an Easter egg.
I don't either. Some of these are dumb. And then Stan Lee's cameo in the Avengers was near the end. Let's see. During the news report.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I thought it was something different, but so that's that one. 4 for me, 4.5 for you. I agree though. One of the most iconic MCU movies.
And am I misremembering this? We don't actually get the Avengers assemble.
Mm-mm. We don't get that all the way up until Endgame.
Yeah, it takes till Endgame before we.
They almost mention it in almost every movie though.
Yeah.
Well, like all the Avengers movies, but they get cut off somehow. So.
That's I was sitting there watching this one, and I was like, I can't wait till we get to Infinity War and Endgame.
Oh, that's gonna be special. I mean, I love. Oh, Endgame makes me cry every time still.
It's gonna be good. Okay, speaking of, it's gonna be good. Here's something that's not so good. Tyler's favorite Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Man 3. So let's run through this. Probably not as quickly as we'd like, but hey,
It happened.
I will say up front, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars.
I gave this 2.
I gave it 3 because I was like, what propped it up for me was the you still have the great moments with RDJ.
Right. How they handled anxiety and stress and stuff, I thought was very, very well done. And I guess I've never really noticed it until more so in my adult life, because this came out, I forget what year, 2013. So I was 20. So not really a whole lot of stressors in life at that particular moment. But seeing how they portrayed anxiety was very well done in this.
I didn't care for the villain.
No, that was one of the things that made me the maddest. Sorry, I'm getting everything prepped for next week. Was that the Mandarin is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Iron Man villain from the classic comics back here, and they made him an actor. Although it gets retconned in Shang-Chi. Man, we didn't know that at the time. I could remember because I saw this with our buddy Grant back when it premiered, and I don't think I've ever heard him laugh so hard at me in my life, because at the end of the movie, he takes the arc reactor and throws it in the ocean. And I have never in my life just been so dumbfounded. I sat there I was leaning forward with hands on my knees when it was over, because I was just so jaw on the floor, because he can't take the arc reactor out. That's the whole point of him being Iron Man, and a lot of his stories and things like that is because that metal is in his heart. You can't just take it out. And then he just throws it in the ocean.
Yeah, because at the end of the movie, he has the shrapnel taken out of his chest. So it just dumbfounds me. On so many, I don't understand the direction of it. I don't know what the point of the direction of it was, because in the future movies we see the arc reactor still in his suits and on his chest and stuff like that, but in his suits. So I'm what was the point of retconning that? I don't understand the whole point of that at all. And just baffling. Let's run through the plot, what there is of one, and then we'll pick it up on the back end. At a New Year's Eve party in 1999, Tony Stark meets scientist Maya Hansen, the inventor of Extremis, an experimental regenerative treatment that allows recovering from crippling injuries. Disabled scientist Aldrich Killian offers them a place in his company. Advanced idea mechanics, but Stark rejects him. 13 years later, Stark is suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and has frequent panic attacks due to his experiences during the alien invasion of New York. He's built dozens of new Iron Man suits to cope with his insomnia, creating friction with girlfriend Pepper Potts. Meanwhile, a string of bombings is claimed by a terrorist known as the Mandarin. Stark's security chief, Happy
Hmm.
Hogan, is badly injured in one such attack and put into a coma, prompting Stark to issue a televised threat to the Mandarin, revealing his home address in the process. The Mandarin sends gunship helicopters to destroy Stark's home. Hansen, who came to warn Stark, survives the attack with Potts. Stark escapes in an experimental new Iron Man suit, which is artificial intelligence Jarvis pilots to rural Tennessee, following a flight plan from Stark's investigation into the Mandarin. Stark's new armor is not fully functional and lacks sufficient power to return to Malibu, leaving the world to believe that he died. With the help of Harley Keener, a local boy, Stark investigates the remains of a local explosion bearing the hallmarks of a Mandarin attack. Although it occurred years before any known attack by the terrorist, he discovers the bombings were triggered by soldiers subjected to extremis whose bodies explosively rejected the treatment. These explosions were falsely attributed to a terrorist plot to cover up Extremis' flaws. Stark witnesses Extremis firsthand when Mandarin agents Savin and Brandt attack him. Stark kills Brandt and incapacitates Savin. Meanwhile, Killian resurfaces and kidnaps Potts with assistance from Hansen. American intelligence agencies continue to search for the Mandarin, with James Rhodes, the former war machine, now rebranded as the Iron Patriot, lured into a trap to steal his armor. Tracing the Mandarin to Miami, Stark infiltrates his headquarters using improvised weapons. Inside, he discovers the Mandarin is an English actor named Trevor Slattery.
I'm an actor. Hello, my name's Trevor. I'm an actor. I love it. I say that all the time still. Probably my only favorite thing of this movie.
Who's oblivious to the actions carried out in his image. Killian then captures Stark. He reveals he's subjected Potts to Extremis in the hope Stark will help fix Extremis' flaws while trying to save her. When Hansen betrays Killian by threatening to jeopardize his operations, Killian fatally shoots her. Stark escapes and reunites with Rhodes, discovering Killian intends to attack President Ellis aboard Air Force One, using the Iron Patriot armor, controlled by Savin. Stark kills Savin, saving the passengers and crew, but cannot stop Killian from abducting Ellis. At an impounded, damaged oil tanker, Killian intends to kill Ellis on live television. The vice president would then become a puppet leader, following Killian's orders in exchange for Extremis to cure his young daughter's disability. Stark and Rhodes infiltrate the platform, aided by the remaining Iron Man suits controlled remotely by Jarvis. Rhodes secures the president and takes him to safety, while Stark discovers Potts has survived the Extremis procedure. Before he can save her, a rig collapses around them and she falls to the platform below, causing Stark to believe her dead. Stark fights Killian, but finds himself cornered. Killian, who appropriated Hansen's Extremis research as a cure for his own disability and expanded the program to include injured war veterans, reveals he is the real Mandarin behind Slattery's cover. Potts, whose Extremis powers allowed her to survive the fall, kills Killian to save Stark. As a gesture of his devotion to Potts, Stark orders Jarvis to destroy all Iron Man suits. The Vice President and Slattery are arrested, and Happy awakens from his coma. With Stark's help, Potts' Extremis effects are stabilized, and Stark promises to scale back his life as Iron Man, undergoing surgery to remove the shrapnel near his heart and throwing his obsolete chest arc reactor into the sea.
Stupid.
He muses, he muses that even without the technology, he will always be Iron Man. Uh, they don't mention in the recap that he does voiceover in parts of this, including leading up to the end when we get the scene of who he's talking to. He's talking to Bruce,
Mm-hmm.
and
So
Bruce is
good.
falling asleep. Bruce misses the whole story because he falls asleep. He's like, "This isn't my thing."
So good. Different kind of
Um,
doctor.
I wonder if this had Jon Favreau directing it, if it
Would
ends
have
up
been any
better.
different? I think it would have, honestly.
Um, this is directed. It's directed by Shane Black, and nothing against him, but it's just you can tell if you didn't know who had directed it, you could tell that it's different. Um, someone different was at the helm compared to the first two movies.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the tone, the flow, everything.
So there were a lot of, I know, I'd like to dog on this movie a lot, but there are some really cool moments. The When his house gets exploded in Malibu, and he does the whole thing with the suit, and it points to Pepper Potts, and the suit conforms to her. That's really cool. And then the scene after the plane falls and when he's catching all of them. I can remember because I was obsessed with Iron Man, still am. But when I was very much obsessed with it, you can see Fury back here making a mess now. He made his appearance. Hey, Furoshi, can you stop, please? And
Maybe he's a Skrull.
so, could you imagine this dog? Anyways, when he was catching the people in the air, make them all hold hands and everything. First off, I would have already had a heart attack and be dead. There's no me grabbing anybody's hand. I remember watching that at the MTV Movie Awards. They released that clip, and it's just something that's always stuck with me. But the follow up scene where he's flying, he just drops them off and then gets hit by a truck. I at the theater, I was like, oh shit, like very loudly. Because, like, oh my God, I just didn't expect that. And then he goes back to them on a boat, and he was doing it all through VR. That's just so dumb. That's just, and then because the whole movie is setting up that Tony Stark is still Tony Stark. He doesn't need to be Iron Man to be Tony Stark, and that was the whole point of the stupid getting to Trevor, making his home things. The stupid kid we get throughout the whole movie, we never get a payoff for. Doesn't do anything with. It's just a stupid plot line. And then the whole house party initiative, awesome. One of my favorite scenes. He said, Jarvis, initiate house party. I was like, oh, okay, what's that? And then it revealed all of his suits. I was like, okay, that's awesome. And then he destroys them all. Why? Why does that make any sense? It's never made sense to me at all, and it still blows my mind that happened. And then it just makes no sense to me. But
I agree with you about the kid. I didn't really. I thought it was being from Tennessee. I thought it was kind of cool.
Well, you got a little Tennessee reference there and everything.
Yeah, but it just didn't. It kind of took me out of the story because it's not like the kid had to do anything
At all.
Majorly heroic, right? It's not like Tony lands in Tennessee and he's incapacitated,
Right.
and the kid has to help him get back on his feet and all this.
He uses his garage.
Yeah, it's nothing like that. So that was like, huh?
Yeah.
And I've never liked just the general flow of the movie feels off.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's that story, that aspect of the story in part. I feel like they tried to do too much.
Mm-hmm.
Almost, it was like if you want to do the deal with someone hijacking the Iron Patriot suit and like that part of the story, I thought that was a good part of the story.
Right.
Okay, someone's taken this technology
Because it grounded into roads and things like that.
but if you're gonna end up then destroying all the Iron Man suits, at least drive the point home more that he's like, look, I don't need this many.
Mm-hmm.
It was a product of my insomnia, and I'm seeing what happens if someone that shouldn't have this technology ends up with it,
Mm-hmm.
and how it can be weaponized to work against the greater good. So I'm going to destroy these extras that I have. I still think it was weird to destroy all of them, but
It's never made any sense to me.
yeah, it's just
There's not a lot of Easter eggs here. Mandarin is seen with the tattoo on his neck that closely resembles Captain America's shield, but with an anarchist A in the middle. Likewise, Mandarin is also seen wearing the same rings on his right hand as the ones worn by Raza in Iron Man, which shows a connection between the Mandarin and the 10 rings. Main Thing's wife is kind of mentioned in this one. So Ellen Brandt was one of the members of Aldrich Killian's army of extremist soldiers. In the comic books, Brandt is the ex-wife of Ted Sallis, who's also known as Main Thing. So, it's kind of cool. Mark 42, the Iron Man comic books have a lot more information about the Mark 42 suit than the movies let on. It is shown that when Mr. Fantastic was working with Hank Pym and Iron Man, the two had come up with a negative zone for those superpowered individuals who behave against the best interests of the people. This was their 42nd idea, hence the armor's name. And that's it. And then, of course, the... let's see, Mandarin character origins, which is, I love it so much. Mandarin was created in 1964's number 50, Tales of Suspense. Those who are aware of the Green Lantern's origin story will be amazed how similar it is as well. There's a UFO involved which crash lands in China, and Mirror Human becomes a superpowered individual, becomes in contact with the alien technology, which is the rings. So, and then Stan Lee was one of my favorite cameos of his was the beauty pageant, one of the hosts. So, pretty cool. Or judges.
Yeah. You know, one thing that's kind of hitting me as we go back and rewatch some of this stuff. There were more allusions to the Ten Rings and Shang-Chi than probably realized initially. I wish that they had made that a bigger deal.
Correct.
And not just left it sort of in the background.
As an actor. It could have been like a whole overarching like subplot. You know, the Infinity Saga, you had the Infinity Stones being a big thing to look out for. But how could you imagine if there was something else to be looking out for, like the Ten Rings and stuff like that? For just like an Earth kind of thing?
Yeah, or if from the get-go, instead of, like you said, instead of having an actor in this role of the Mandarin, and if they had just said, there's this society, and whoever heads it up is referred to as the Mandarin. So you can't kill the Mandarin because the Mandarin is many people.
Especially with Hydra coming to a close, you could have done that. But
yeah.
I'm glad we're done with that.
we're done with that, and we're done with that just in time for our next movie, Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah, that's one I think gets too much hate for what it is. Still not a great movie by any means.
No,
but I think it's dogged on more than it should be.
Yeah.
So, we'll revisit that next week, though. So.
Yeah, we're next week we've got Thor: The Dark World and Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Both.
So our next Avengers movie will of course be Age of Ultron,
which is also a very good one. A lot goes on in that one.
And then once we get past that, we're rocketing toward Infinity War. Endgame.
We got Civil War before all that, though.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Captain America: Civil War. The Guardians movies will be sprinkled in. Ant-Man. Spider-Man.
The Man movies.
The Man movies.
The Bug Man movies. So.
Cool. No news this week, but we do have one major release. July the 10th in the UK and July the 12th in the US in cinemas. Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 with the immortal Tom Cruise.
Someone says suicidal.
This guy is... He doesn't, like... For one thing, he doesn't seem to age that much. I mean, when you think about... So 40 years ago is when he broke through. 40 years. It was 1983. I think it was 83 when Risky Business came out. And that was like his big launching pad. And he doesn't look like he did then, but he's probably like...
one of the biggest action stars out there.
20 years older than he was then, and it's been 40.
I'm just waiting for Mission Impossible... the Fast and Furious movies and the John Wick movies finally have their crossover. We're not there yet, but I'm just ready for it.
I saw a story, now I didn't read it. I saw a story where it said that Tom Cruise has said he plans to make Mission Impossible movies into his 80s.
Keeps making money, why not? I don't think he'll keep doing the stunts he's doing, but, I think he'll still make them.
Look, I wouldn't do the stunts he's doing.
No, not a chance.
There's the one shot of him sitting on that building in, is it India?
Mm-hmm.
The tallest building
Yep.
in the world, and he's just sitting at the top chilling. Like,
Nope. No, not a chance. The plane and not this movie, but the one prior, he strapped into a plane on the outside of it as it's taking off and going through the air. No parachute, no nothing. Absolutely not. And then this one, he takes either a motorcycle or a dirt bike off a cliff, and then parachutes off of that. Again,
Yeah.
absolutely not. No. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for listening and watching. We hope you're not doing any of those stunts like they are. Don't forget to share on all your favorite social media platforms, and forget to rate and review this podcast on whatever podcasting service you do use. On social media, you can follow the Nerdwide account at nerd_wide. You can follow me personally at Ty_Haynes and Chris at MavTN7. Or on Threads, you can follow me at Sir Haynes, just because that's the new thing.
You're on Threads now, huh?
Oh, that's my new.
Nice.
Yes, I enjoy it. It needs some work, but I mean, it's not even a week old yet. Like, it needs to have a following only tab, like where only posts you see are from the people you're following. But they've already said all this is in the works. It's just it's in its infancy. So right now, but I enjoy it. I'm using it more than Twitter at the moment. So. Facebook, search in Nerdwide Podcast, nerdwide.com, Nerdwide, first thing that pops up. Those two ways are the first way to know when there are new news for this podcast, like scheduling issues, things like that. That's the first place you'll find out. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching this episode and listening to it as well. Let us know in the comments below what you think of my Adventures of Superman. If you feel like it's the right audience, what's going on with that, and if you plan to continue to watch, let us know down in the comments below. But until next week, this has been the Nerdwide Podcast, and we cannot wait to talk to you next time.
Later, guys.